think today is going to be the last day of the heavy sanding. Don't get me wrong, there's still plenty sanding to do, but the heavy sanding left is for this last wheel pan. I went to the auto body store and I bought some tape. And the price of this tape is absolutely ridiculous. I got 2 rolls of fine line and 4 rolls of masking tape, $33. Unbelievable. Anyway, the cost of building a model, all of this has to be taken into account, because we're going to go through all this tape, or a lot of it, and on this airplane. So if you're building for somebody, you got to factor in the cost of the tape, the sandpaper, the thinner. Anyway, what I'm going to do today, last night I painted that wheel pan, sanded and painted, and it still needs a little touch up. We're going to get this wheel pan in white. So it will take me a couple of hours probably to sand, finish sand and reprime and get this wheel pan in white. One of the guys sent me a personal message, Roger, on the forum, and made a suggestion on what we're going to do for our Build Along project. Our Build Along project is going to be based around a franchise twister. It's a known set of numbers. I'm going to show you how to make it look like anything you want it to look like. We're going to have a little contest with an end date. I'll give you the end date, judged by the members of the forum, and the winner of that contest will receive a free kit. No charge to enter. You just have to be a member of Control Line Craftsman, and we're going to do an hour a day. It shouldn't take more than a few weeks to put together, and then we'll let you finish them at your leisure using the tips that I've shown in other segments, the Monado, the Continental, and so on and so forth. I have some other projects that I'm going to be doing. I have a flying wing from Jim Thomerson that I'm going to do. It's a beam wing, huge cord. I'm going to do that. It's an old-time or classic legal airplane. But I wanted to get this airplane done and ready to go. So today we're going to start the fun stuff, which is trimming, as soon as I get this wheel pan painted. So give me a few hours and I'll be back to you. So we'll see you in a short. Well, guess what? I'm still sanding. What I'm doing here is I had the wheel pan together, and just like I did with the other one, I primed up, and it was shaped pretty well, pretty close. But now I'm taking 220, and I'm doing the final shaping of this. Now, of course, I'm going to have to reprime it because I've gone through the Z-epoxy in a few spots in order to get that shape. But I needed this wheel pan hard all over so that I could get that shape. So what I do is I sand her with 220. Then I'm going to come back here in a second and sand with 320. Then we're going to shoot on a coat of primer and see how it looks. Of course, that'll all have to be sanded off. So the thing is, with painting, you don't want to leave all the primer on the thing. The primer is just to show you where the lows and highs are and fill any of the imperfections. You do not need to be carrying around all that primer. Otherwise, you'll end up with a model that's 70 ounces. And there's plenty of them out there. This bottle's still in the high 40s. Depending on how much clear it gets, it could see low 50s. That's just the way it goes. It's a big airplane. I know that I would bet Tom's was 60, but I don't know. I haven't heard from Bob Whiteley. I sent him a message on asking him what the power is now, and hope he's okay, because I haven't seen him on the forum in quite a while. And what the power is now, and how much it weighs, but no answer back. Okay, 2 hours in, third sand out, one more coat of primer. I think it's close this time. Get you a close-up look at it, what it should look like. Very hard to show this on camera, but we'll give her a try. You don't want this primer to run on this coat, so put it on lightly. Because we're just going to basically sand it till it's translucent this time. It's close to shape. And we'll put a coat of white paint on it, see what it looks like. If it looks okay, we'll leave it. If not, we'll have to sand it out and do it again. Anyway, get your close up of this. This is what the wheel patch should look like. And you know, you can settle for something less than just put it on, but you know, you've come this far, you got 300 hours in it. What's another hour or two? You know, whatever it takes is what it takes. And now this is in need. We'll sand this out with 600. Shoot another coat on it. You gotta not be able to see any of the scratches. And the problem with lacquer is, even though you can't see them, the minute you paint it, it'll pop right back up and they'll show. So you keep sanding and painting, sanding and painting, sanding and painting. Pretty soon you'll get it right. And nothing looks as good as a hand rub lacquer finish. The urethane finishes are nice, but they look plastic to me. A good dope finish looks like a piano. So, paint this, another coat. And that's what that looks like. And then we'll get the coat of paint on it, and if it doesn't look good, we'll sand it again, whatever it takes. This will get sanded with 1000 before I shoot the white on it to get the primer off. Right now I'm just covering up any of the light spots. I weighed that wheel pant. The finish on the wheel pant was 2 grams. You know, 2 grams, that's a lot. Because 2 grams here, 2 grams there, that's 4 grams. You know, we're talking 5 grams. So it all adds up and it all compounds. So you got to be real careful about putting stuff on. You want to take it off. So we'll be back in a short when I'm ready to paint these. Okay, you've been working on this all day. Sanding with 1000 grit now. And we should be just ready to paint. You want to sand it until you can just start to see through it. And then stop. And this gets all the scratches out of it because we're not going to put a lot of paint on it. So it's got to be semi-shiny before we paint it. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint this on camera where I didn't paint the airplane on camera because this is not going to give off as much overspray because it's not that big an area. So I'll show you how I do it with an airbrush. Of course, I think I showed you the canopy area I did with the airbrush. So I just put it on in several light coats until it's all covered. Nice thing about working with an airbrush is it doesn't take long for the paint to dry either, because you're not putting it on very thick. Within just a few minutes it'll be ready to come back and shoot another coat on. Make sure to get the inside too, because if any water gets up in there or any grass or whatever, you want to make sure it's finished as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be shiny or anything, it just has to be painted. And it makes for the model look more complete as well, like you really cared about what you were doing. Get the top of it even though nobody's going to see it. You want to make sure that all the areas are covered. Just like inside the airplane. Nobody's ever going to see that, but you know it's there and you know it's right. So here we have a wheel paint. It took a couple hours to get it ready to paint, but It only took a few minutes to paint it. I'll let this dry. We will put a second coat on it and call it good. And that's what it looks like. And that's how you build a light model. Don't put much stuff on it. Now I'll paint the door. First I have to sand it with 1000. Let's shut this off. That's not done. Here we go. Okay, the primer is very dull and flat looking. But when you sand it with 1000, it becomes shiny. And it takes all the scratches out as well. But you're basically polishing the primer. And that means that you don't have to load the paint up to fill any scratches or whatever, so it's shiny. It didn't take long to do that. So now the primer's shiny. Just like chroming, the metal's shiny before it goes into the tank. That's what we're doing here. Spray it on until it's all covered. I'm going to paint the inside of the door as well because it's exposed at the wheel well. But it doesn't have to be super slick finish. Just needs some paint on it. Because we're going to open that up yet anyway. There you have it. And it didn't take very much paint at all to get that painted. So wait about half an hour. I'll come back and I'll shoot that again. We'll go ahead and bolt it up. I'm going to clean off the table. I got the fine line. We'll start the fun stuff. I'll start to lay it out. The last time I did checkerboards, I had a stencil that I did it with. And I had bought a roll of the low-tack vinyl, and it was like $150 for the roll. And I just don't have the funds to do that. I'm very frugal nowadays. So I'm going to tape these checkerboards out. And it's not a big deal. I'll show you how to do that. You have to do several rows at a time, and yeah, it's a pain in the rear, but we're going to get it done without a big deal. So we'll do the checkerboards, the stripes, the red, white, and blue. We're getting close. I mean, I foresee a week's time, and it'll be flyable. Of course, the weather won't be flyable, but the airplane will be done. I can finish up my customer projects. I got one of those to work on, and we're going to start doing the profile build for the contest in Control Line Craftsman. So give me about a half an hour. We'll come back, put another coat on it. I'll go ahead and button it up, clean all the mess up, and we'll start painting the trim. So we'll see in a bit. Well, I've cleaned the mess up, wiped the table off, and now I'm wiping the airplane down with Windex. And just kind of looking to see if there are any spots that I missed or that need maybe a little sanding or a little touch-up, and I haven't found any, so that's a good thing. Matter of fact, it turned out real nice. But this is just to show you, it doesn't take months to finish an airplane. It just takes the procedure and the sanding, of course. You have to put in the time. There just is no way around getting a nice finish without sanding. The sanding is what makes the finish. It's not the painting. So I'm removing all the overspray off this thing. Just Windex and one of these paper towels, and it does take any of the dullness out, and it's kind of bringing up a slight sheen. We're not looking for a shine yet. The shine won't come till the clear gets on there. And the clear is after the inking. The absolute last thing to do on an airplane is glue the flying surfaces on. At least in my procedure. I'm sure some others glue them on first, but right now I can take them off in case there's any problem. And it leaves also for good alignment and everything. So anyway, wipe the whole airplane down. I'm sure that the movies don't do this justice, but the woodwork on this is better than the Monado that I put out. And that was entered in 2 contests and won 2 concourse awards, so and it flies real good. I like that airplane. It's a good flying airplane. I'm hoping this will be better, more to what I'm used to. That snappy turn, because it's at least 10 ounces lighter. So lighter, lighter, lighter. We're always looking for lighter. I don't care what anybody says. Lighter is better. I see that this wheel pant on the inboard side, the one that I had just painted, needs another coat of paint. And how you can tell is, well, the door does, not the wheel pan itself. But how you can tell is it has a gray tint to it. So we'll just take the door off and I'll shoot the door. Maybe. There we go. Yep, you can just kind of see it. It's got a gray tint to it. about that. I think before I go on to take this trim out, and I have the magazine right here, how it's laid out. But before I do that, I'm going to fix that cowl that I was talking about, the high spot. So we might not get to paint today. It might just be taping. Because I don't foresee this paint job taking more than a couple of days to complete. The checkerboards on the bottom are slightly difficult. But still doable. Underside red and white checkerboard finish. Yeah, I think ours are going to be black and white. It looks like those checkers are approximately 3 inches wide. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 and a bit, so we'll measure the wing. 8 squares. We need to, let's see here, we need to measure, starts at 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, yep, 8. It's going to be 24 by 8. 24 by 8. I probably should know all this business, but I don't. Calculator. They're 3.5. So every 3.5 inches in the center, that's going to be 3.5. It's going to be 1 3/4 out from the center. 1 3/4. So that would start right there. So we got 1, 3.5. 7 is 2, 4, 10.5, 5. 6, 17, 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 8. Yep, they're 3.5. So each stripe is 3.5. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Clear. Not right. This is a 24-inch ruler. 24 divided by 8 equals every 3 inches. So the checkerboards are 3-inch squares, and the stripes are going to be, let's see how we can do that, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 24 by 13. 24 divided by 13. 1.84, so That don't seem right. Well, I'm going to have to do some thinking on this. I'll have to lay it out with some cardboard, because one way I get that these stripes are less than 2 inches wide. They might be 2 inches wide. Yeah, we'll try it at 2 inches. So, anyway, I'm going to tinker with this a bit and get ready to paint this up. When I get started, I'll come back and show you the progress. But it turned out really, really nice. I mean, yeah, I could ask for better, but it would take twice the length to get it done. But this is real nice. It should be worth 19 points. Nothing's perfect, but it should be worth 19. So we'll see you in a bit. I want to talk about the high spot I was telling you about. If you look on this cowl right here, let me back it out a little bit. There's a spot right here. That was high, and it drove me crazy. And I might as well get it now before I put any urethane on the cowl or any trim colors. So don't be, what I'm getting at is, don't be afraid to go back and feather a piece you're just not happy with. Otherwise you're settling for second best, and the whole time that you have this airplane, it's going to stick out at you like a sore thumb. So anytime I have a problem like that, I go in and address them. And you really can't see them, or I can't see them. I'm sure there are some, but I can't see them until paint is on it and it's shiny. Then it becomes real apparent. So I just thought I'd throw that in before I go any farther. Well, I know I said yesterday that I'd be doing some trim work today, or yesterday. Instead, what I've decided is I'm going over all the little spots that have issues. Here on the tip, there's a spot that has an issue. I fixed a couple on the wheel pants, a couple underneath. I don't know, I may be getting too critical of things, but like I told you in the beginning of this build, I want an exceptional classic airplane, because the original was exceptional. And after talking to several people who have seen this the original in more recent times than I have, because I have no recollection of 40 years ago of weights and engine sizes, and they said that it was extremely heavy, this airplane. Now, we don't want a heavy airplane. I don't want to ruin it by having an airplane with that much dope on it that it's going to be heavy. But I do want I want the craftsmanship and the fits and finish good on it. So I'm going over just the issues before I get started. This morning I did try to lay out the red stripe on the tail. I tried to, and I tried 3 times and could not get it perfect. So if I can't get it perfect, I'm going to leave it off. They're just, there's no sense in putting something on that I'm not going to be happy with. So I will gold leaf in some USA like I did on the Monado. It doesn't have to have that red stripe back there. But would have been nice, but I don't know how he did it. I can't get it to go around the top and bottom of the fuselage evenly. so I'm not going to do it. Anyway, fixing the tip here, around the lead out block, and I'm going to take the inboard wheel pan off. There's a spot on it that I'm going to sand out and fix, and I'll repaint that wheel pan. I did the outboard one last night. It looks much better. It's still relatively light. The balance is about where it needs to be at this stage. Still nose heavy. So we're in shape. So I'll get back with you when I get all these issues fixed that I want to fix. There's one on the elevator I want to fix. We'll lay out some trim. So we'll see in a bit. Okay, I've won over about most of the airplane in the bad spots, and I'm just touching up with the airbrush the spots that I thought needed attention. This wanting an excellent model has put me back a few days, but should be well worth it in the long run. Now let me state something on why you're airbrushing. You cannot put airbrush paint on dry. It has to be thinned, and when you spray it, it has to go on so it's shiny. Otherwise, when you put the tape on it, because it went on dry, it has a possibility of lifting it off. Now I went through the wheel pan and fixed the few mistakes in the wheel pan and shot it with primer and repainted it. This is the second coat, and it has a few light spots in it, so we'll go ahead and touch those up. This has to be the best finished set of wheel pans I've ever built. And I thought that I would, when I go ahead and put the trim on them, I thought that I would go ahead and urethane them when I do the inside of the fuselage and the cowl. So these will get clear urethane as well, so they're a little more durable. But I did the same thing to the outboard wheel pan. I had it off and resanded and repainted it, so I thought I'd at least make a match. I redid the cowl where I told you that it had a spot in it that was messed up. I had a spot over here on the trailing edge where the sheeting met, the center sheeting met the trailing edge that I needed to do. About the last thing that I can see is the underside. There's one little spot on the stab that I'm probably going to sand out and touch up. And then I feel that I've got all the spots that I need to get out of it. Otherwise it came out real nice. And it's relatively light. I see a spot on the underside of the wingtip that could use some more paint. But I want to hit it with some sandpaper first. You can tell it needs more paint when it has the gray hue to it. Finishing, I don't know, you could, the paint job is never complete. It's just never done. is how much do you want to put into it. Usually by this time I'm striping and clearing, but as in the beginning of this, I said I wanted an exceptional model. So, I'm fixing all the buggers. The clear will be put on with my touch-up gun, which is this gun here. The trim will be put on with the airbrush. All the white was put on with the airbrush. It just takes a while to get it on when you're using an airbrush and not using a big paint gun, but it goes on. Okay, this can had a pint poured into it. Then it was filled with thinner, so it was 50-50. So that's 1 pint of paint. Normally on a white paint job, it takes more than a pint. But I've only used that much out of the thinned material. So actually, we've used a half a pint of material. Because it was sanded and polished first, instead of just painted and then sanded. It's on very thin. The problem that I've had experienced with white paint jobs is no matter if your hands are clean or not, there always seems to be dirt put onto white paint. So I'm going to wear gloves while I'm handling this from now on out. Yeah, I better wait. I'll wait for that to tack up and then put that on there. Matter of fact, I can put this together here. I'll wait for that too. So anyway, we can give it about a half an hour. Today, I'm going to try to get to some of the trim. I'm going to take the motor back out of it, get it apart, so we can do the nose and lay the tape out. Hopefully we got the paint on thin enough that the tape is not going to pull it up, because that is a problem. I mean, I don't normally have any lifting paint, but I put this paint on so thin that I'm a little concerned about it, but we'll see what happens. So, we'll be back. Welcome everybody, Control Line Craftsman. I'm kind of doing a wrap up today. I've been working on getting this thing taped. Actually, I went over the entire model and I fixed any of the mistakes that I could find in it before I went on to the taping. So it's been drying a couple of days and we're starting to tape the stripes and the patterns on it. I tried to tape the red stripe back here this morning, and I'm going to have to think of another way to do it, or just leave it off, because whatever he did, it had to be some kind of secret to go around that corner and make it look perfect. If I leave it off, it'll get the USA that my Continental XL has on it and the Monado XL has. But that's perfectly fine. But we're going to go with the red, white, and blue art shawl paint job, just like the original. And trust me, that was an ordeal to figure out as well. I made up some paper dolls and laid them all out. And as soon as I get the other side taped off in the blue fine line, I will go ahead and shoot all the blue leading edges, then come back and back mask the red, and then shoot the red. There's not going to be a whole lot of updating while I'm doing this, because it's all just labor. It's put the tape on. I know that some would, like to see that, but it's really not very interesting. It's, I just take a paper doll, and it took me a long time to get this line. This was the first line to get on and get it square so it runs straight across, and get these lines squared up in there. Then I made a paper doll, and I taped this onto the wing, and then tape right next to it to keep them all parallel. You also have to take a triangle as you're doing this, because now you wouldn't think that it would make that much of a difference, but it's tolerance buildup. If you're off just a thousandth or so at each mark, by the time you're out here, the stripe is sideways, and so you got to put it down, take the square on the trailing edge, make sure that it's parallel, or at a 90 degrees to the trailing edge on each and every line, all the way out. And when you get out towards the tip, you have to kind of do a makeshift thing where I take a ruler on the trailing edge and set the square on it to make sure those lines stay running true. Looking at another week anyway before I'm ready to clear. I would say at least a week. Gonna get it'll get the trim, it'll get a coat of clear, it'll get sanded with 1000 grit, it'll get another coat of clear, sanded with 1000 grit, and then a third and final coat. Then after that's all done, it will get urethane on the nose and urethane on the cowl. I'm thinking that I'll probably urethane the canopy too, so that it blends in real good. So this build is 32 days old, or 31 days old. Excuse me, 32 days old now, and we're coming up on the end of it. It's a classic airplane. It's not a big deal. The Monado was built in 55 days. I don't know why it took so long to do, but things happen. When I get this done, the chain of events are going to be finish up my other customers' projects, and we're going to start building a profile. I'm going to use up the wood that I have up there that's been left over, and boy, it doesn't look like I have much wood left. I do have, I had ordered a lot of 16th wood for another project, and I'm just waiting on those cores to get here, and I'll do them up. But stump hanger wood is probably the best wood you're going to find. So anyway, I know you're probably bored with this build as I am, and we need to go on to the next project. So until I'm ready to paint, I don't see the reason to keep updating. So I'm going to post this up. I'll post it up in on the open so everybody can see it. Just to give you a little idea, I do have some other video footage shot on the camera. That has some building things on it, on the wheel pants, where I refinished those and sanded those, but I don't know, I'll put together, when I get it all done, I'll put together the whole, I don't know, I think it's about 22 or 23 hours of video that I have for this airplane. I'll put it all together, and maybe I can figure out if I can ever get sorted out to get a CD burner to burn some CDs instead of using YouTube. But I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're learning something on it. Remember, if you have any questions, you can ask me on the forum, on Control Line Craftsman, or call me on the phone. It's not a big deal. So, until then, fair winds, tight lines.